The year is 1005 CE. In the gilded halls of Thanjavur, where sandalwood smoke curls through columns of living granite, Rajaraja Chola I holds absolute dominion over the southern world. He summons Arumoli, not with ceremony, but with urgency, the kind that moves through a court like a tremor beneath still water. The master shipwright arrives, smelling of teak oil and salt, his hands calloused from a decade of coaxing timber into vessels of war. The king's command is precise and merciless. Build a fleet that cannot be broken. Around them, courtiers nod in confident agreement. Only Arumoli is silent. He has stood at the edge of the Bay of Bengal when the monsoon turns without warning. He has watched iron nails weep rust into black water. He knows exactly what the sea demands of ambitious men, and what it takes in return. The work is about to begin. 3 years have passed, yet the sea surrenders nothing. Off the shallows south of Mahabalipuram, the ribs of Arumoli's lost fleet still claw upward through the silt. Teak and salwood blackened by fire and salt, the bones of 40 vessels consumed in a single monsoon dawn. He wades among them barefoot, fingers tracing the fractured strakes, the sheared mortise joints, the hull seams that burst like overripe fruit beneath Srivijayan fireships. Barnacles colonize what his hands once fashioned. The smell of brine and char is indistinguishable from memory. He does not mourn. He measures. He catalogues every failure with the cold precision of a man who has already decided this will not happen again. In the shipyards of Nagapattinam, something new is already stirring, something the southern seas have never encountered before. Before the sun clears the coconut palms of Nagapattinam, Arumoli is already moving through smoke and splinter. The shipyard roars with purpose, adzes biting into teak, iron mallets driving bronze rivets through hull strakes still weeping with sap. He has torn apart everything he once knew. The new vessels sit lower, their bellies broader, hungry for speed rather than cargo. Along the waterline, iron bracing curves like vertebrae, a skeleton built to absorb the violence of open water rather than surrender to it. Concealed within the bow timbers, folded boarding ramps wait in silence, patient as drawn blades. Workers who have built vessels for 30 years find themselves learning again, bending to a vision none of them fully comprehend. Arumoli does not explain. He demonstrates. He climbs, measures, corrects. In his hands, timber becomes strategy. And soon, that strategy must face the sea itself. The shipyards of Nagapattinam never sleep. Torches bleed orange light across wet timber, and the air hangs thick with pine resin, salt, and the sweat of 10,000 hands. It is here, amid the screech of adzes and the thunder of caulking mallets, that Arumoli receives the news. A Srivijayan shadow, patient and invisible, has stolen the secrets of his revolutionary hull. Another commander might reach for a blade. Arumoli reaches for his ink brush. With quiet, surgical precision, he alters the stolen schematics, widening the keel, shifting the ballast calculations just enough to court disaster in open water. The forgery is perfect. The spy departs believing himself triumphant, carrying ruin disguised as treasure. What the Srivijayan admiral receives will not save his fleet. It will doom it. Somewhere beyond the horizon, a trap is already sailing toward him. On the 15th day of Karthigai, the shipyards of Nagapattinam fall silent. Priests move between the great hulls, their white robes brushing salt-crusted timber, smoke from camphor, and sacred turmeric curling heavenward in dense, trembling spirals. One by one, The vessels are surrendered to the Bay of Bengal. 300 hulls of teak and ironwood, their prows carved with the tiger banner of the Chola. Arumoli stands at the water's edge, watching his life's work rise and settle upon the dark water. His hands, scarred by a decade of adze and chisel, are clasped in quiet supplication. The sea accepts the fleet without ceremony, without promise. Around him, 10,000 sailors roar their devotion to the king. He alone is still and afraid. Somewhere beyond the horizon, Srivijaya is waiting, and it already knows they are coming. 3 days from the Malay shore, the Andaman Sea turns murderous. Without warning, the sky becomes iron, the horizon swallowed whole. Monsoon winds tear through hemp rigging like the breath of vengeful gods, and the great teak hulls of the Chola armada groan against swells that rise like fortress walls. 2 vessels vanish in the darkness. Then a third. For Arumoli, this is not merely weather. It is memory-given teeth. He has felt this before, the ocean taking everything. But something has changed within the man who rebuilt an entire fleet from wreckage and grief. Gripping the carved prow of his flagship, eyes fixed on Arundhati's star through torn clouds, he refuses the sea its victory. What remains of his armada is battered, bloodied, but it is still moving. And somewhere ahead, the Srivijayan admiral is already watching the horizon. The hour before dawn breaks like a wound across the Bay of Bengal. From the mangrove-choked inlets of the strait, the Srivijayan fleet holds position, confident, arranged precisely as the stolen schematics promised. They have read the lie and called it truth. Then the drums begin. Low, relentless, swelling from the dark water like the heartbeat of something vast and ancient. Arumoli's Masula-hulled warships emerge in silence first. Then, all at once, a crescent of timber and iron-tipped prow, 60 vessels curving across the strait like a predator's claw closing shut. Burning naphtha pots arc through the salt air, trailing copper light. The Srivijayan center folds. Their flanks find no open water, only more Chola sail, more Chola ore. The trap has no exit, but the morning's true reckoning has not yet begun. The Bay of Bengal becomes a furnace. Greek fire arcs across the black water in terrible, beautiful parabolas, and the screaming of timber joins the screaming of men. Yet Arumoli's vessels hold. Where the old fleet would have buckled and swallowed the sea, these hulls, stitched with iron logic and hard-won grief, absorb the punishment like living things. He fights at the prow himself, barefoot on blood-slicked teak, leading the boarding party across a burning gangway onto the Srivijayan flagship. The air tastes of salt and scorched coir rope. Around him, his men move with savage precision, oar handles becoming weapons, rigging becoming nooses. The enemy admiral is close now. Arumoli can see the man's face through the smoke, and what he reads there is not defiance. It is recognition. What happens next will decide not merely this battle, but the fate of every sea lane from Nagapattinam to the Malaccan Strait. The flagship lists in the smoke-choked afternoon, its teak planking scorched black, the smell of burning camphor oil thick as grief. 2 men face each other across the wreckage. Arumoli, salt-crusted and hollow-eyed from 30 days at sea, and the Srivijayan admiral, his silk battle sash torn, his dignity intact. No sword is raised. Arumoli studies the older man's hands, rope-scarred, weather-darkened, shaped by the same relentless ocean that has shaped his own. He recognizes what lives behind those eyes. Every storm survived, every sailor mourned, every calculation made at the edge of catastrophe. He sheathes his blade. It is a gesture that will confound his own commanders, unsettle a king, and echo through the courts of 3 empires. For what Arumoli offers next will redraw the map of the known world. The fleet enters Nagapattinam harbor, wreathed in smoke and salt-stained glory. Silk pennants snap against the monsoon wind. Crowds press to the ghats, their voices rising like temple bells across the Coromandel waters. Priests scatter marigold petals onto the tide. Rajaraja's emissaries press gold and sandalwood garlands upon Arumoli, master of the iron-proud armada that broke Srivijaya's grip on the eastern sea lanes. Yet the shipwright stands apart on the quayside, his calloused hands still, his gaze fixed not on the celebrating thousands, but on the horizon. That same horizon which swallowed his first fleet whole, indifferent as a god. He has learned what no king's proclamation can record. The ocean yields to no flag, no dynasty, no empire. Even now, far beyond sight, the currents are quietly rearranging themselves. And somewhere in the deep water, a new challenge is already forming.